Okay everybody, I am going to try to show you one of the problems that I have found with modern day work boots. Years ago, I cut my teeth, of course, in the fields and in industry, blue collar, and I had work boots that would mold to your foot and they would wear like a glove. Very good boots, different brands of course. What I have found nowadays is the boots are not made the same as they used to be years ago. There are some basic similarities, but the ingredients that they're putting in the boots do not allow the boot to conform to your foot. So I want to go through these. This is an old pair of boots that I've had for 8 years, and they look pretty good. Now these are a Georgia boot. A Georgia boot is considered one of the top of the line work boots. It has a Vibram sole. I've had to put some patches on it because I've worn these off. They've been resoled a couple of different times. But I want to go through some of the parts of the boot for you so that you can see. Now this is basically the way the boot fits together. So this is your outer sole here, and this sole of course is stitched to the what's called the midsole, and that midsole is attached to the upper, and they use what's called a bead around it. In that's the whole thing is stitched together. This bead goes around it, or the welt I should say, and it's stitched twice. First it's stitched this direction, then it's stitched this direction, and it holds all of this together. Now the insole is where you begin to run into the problems. You see this patch, this is a type of rubber. It's like a foam, it's a hard foam rubber. This used to be, years ago, that used to be cork, and that cork molded to the bottom of your foot. So everybody's foot is characteristically a little different, just like fingerprints on a hand. And so this would mold to your foot. Nowadays it does not mold to your foot because it's a synthetic material and it bounces back instead of molding. Now in addition to that, there's the insole, and the insole used to be made again of leather. It was a smooth leather. It went on the top of this cork. So you have your outer sole, your midsole, you got the cork in here, then you've got this smooth leather, and as your foot would sweat, that bottom of that insole would mold along with the cork, and it would fit your foot. And that bottom then, as it molded to your foot, was very, very comfortable. You could wear these boots for days practically on end, or hours at least on end, standing on your feet. Of course, inside there's also a metal shank for good arch support. That's all part of it. Now the problem that I have found with modern boots, and they hurt my feet something fierce, they do not have cork and they do not have leather. This is a synthetic fabric. It does not conform to the foot, and it's actually abrasive on your foot rather than smooth. As you wear the boot, that leather would get smooth and your foot would slide on it and glide on it. It was like another skin. Now in addition, the upper here was always lined. If you had some sort of a composite toe or maybe a steel toe, it was always lined with leather inside. Again, that leather was attached to the upper. It was sewed inside, and that whole thing would mold to your foot. As no matter what shape your foot was, that would mold. Nowadays they put in this cloth lining. It's like canvas. That canvas will not mold to your feet. So what happens is you can oil this as much as you want. You can soften this leather as much as you want, but the shoe will not mold to your foot because this canvas type of material refuses to allow it to give. And as a result, you can see with my shoes, there's what happened on my little toe. Here's what happened up in the front. Now, some might say that, well, that's just because the shoe is too short. Well, the point is, you don't get that if it's real leather. It molds to your foot rather than tearing a hole in it. And this kept grabbing the toe. Now I've got blisters on my toe. My wish is that the manufacturers would go back to cork for the padding on the foot, back to cork, and stop using this synthetic material or cloth material and go back to real leather, and stop using this liner in these in the uppers around the toe, and go back to leather. Because you cannot wear these boots hours on end without having some sort of problems with your feet. And so that's my opinion and my conclusion. Like I said, I have worked in industry for many years, and these are good boots. Unfortunately, they've in fact ruined the boot by using those synthetic materials inside here and up in here. Okay? Have any comments? Please feel free to post.